What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host, Chad Medved. Nice to meet you. Welcome if you are new. Welcome back if you are not. I've been sick the last couple days. Not too sick, knock on wood, but for some reason my head is just stuffed. My nose is stuffed up, my throat. I ain't coughing really. It's just I don't know. I definitely don't think I have the coronavirus, but you bet your ass for a split second, I was maybe I should get tested, but I'm all right. Ain't no one going anywhere. I got a lot of great things to talk about this week. There's a lot of cool stuff involving my sponsors. First off, Turner's Premium Tea. Probably one of the most Pittsburgh things you could ever have in life. They are proud sponsors of I'll Call You Right Back podcast. We are fueled by Turner's, and they're doing a new can release. So a can release is a collaboration with Turner's Premium Tea or Turner Terry Farms in its entirety, and Grist House Brewery in Millville. So if you don't know, Turner's releases limited edition flavors of their milks, and currently they have a chocolate covered strawberry, which is it's real good. But they are teaming up with Grist House again to release a dessert stout, and they're doing a can release on Saturday the 22nd at the doors. The doors go. Let me see what time the doors open up. 2 p.m. the doors open in Millville. Grist House is this I don't even know how to really explain it. There's a building there, but it's an open courtyard. They've got a fire pit, and they got this big ass refrigeration truck, and Turner's is going to be there doing can releases. If you buy any of their cans, they're going to give you a chocolate covered strawberry milk. But last time that they did it, it was freezing and pouring down rain, and there was a line to get the cans. And so I would advise to get there. I didn't really look at the weather yet. Let me take a peek at the weather real quick. Saturday, sunny and 46 degrees. Come on. It's going to be a beautiful day. And Millville is popping on Saturday. It's going to be a great time. I think you said Oakdale Barbecue, or Oakmont Barbecue, one of them. I can't remember what the hell he said, but Oakmont Barbecue. I'm sorry. Jeez, I'm sick. I'm forgetting stuff. I've been on drugs all week, and I've been drinking NyQuil like it was nothing. But anyway, they are doing that can release, 2:00. I would definitely get there. Come and check it out. It's a cool place to hang out. Grist House has all kinds of great beers. I'm not a beer person. I mean, if I say it on here all the time. I don't really drink, but they're known for having great shit. And shout out to Turner's as always. Streets on Carson, if you do not know, was the first sponsor that we've ever had. And I've been riding with them for a long time. Matt Christie owns Streets on Carson, a delicious restaurant down in East Carson Street. And a big chapter has began for them. They started a food truck. It's called Streets on the Fly, and they are debuting the food truck Saturday, the 22nd at Strange Roots Brewing in Millville. So you got two dope events in Millville on Saturday, and it's going to be a time. I'm excited because obviously Streets has some of the best food around, and this food truck looks unreal. It just looks so good. But this Strange Roots, they're doing, I guess there's going to be, a little event there. Obviously I don't know as much, but that's from 2 to 9, but I'll definitely be stopping by at both places to check them out and support. So if you got nothing to do on Saturday, you like beer, you like good food, who doesn't like one of those, if not both, slide on down to Millville. I love Millville. I really do. There's some places in the city that are just whatever to me. I think Millville is great for some reason. I don't even go around there that much, but anytime I do, I just I love the feel of it down there. And Why not come on down? Another thing I wanted to touch on. I always talk about things that I watch because there's so much shit in the world right now. It's cool to have, someone's point of view, but there's something on Netflix called The Pharmacist. It's a docuseries, 4 episodes, and it's basically about a dad who, basically stopped OxyContin, in a way. And it's wild. Definitely wild. But it's real good. And literally right before I started recording this intro, I was just in tears. I watched Click. It's been years since I watched Click with Adam Sandler. I feel like people sleep on that movie. Like, I feel like that it's kind of forgotten. But arguably one of the best movies of all time. Maybe I don't know, maybe not the best movie of all time, but it's fantastic. Me and my wife were literally just sitting here watching it and just like the ending, just crying our eyes out on the couch together. And that's what being married's like. And one other thing I wanted to talk about before I get to my guest. I know it's a long intro, but sometimes we get a long intro. A lot of cool shit happens. But I watched Parasite. If you don't know what Parasite is, it's the movie that everyone is talking about. I don't even know how many awards it won. I'm sure you know what the hell I'm talking about by now. But all subtitles. It was fantastic. It was a really, really great movie. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I feel like in the media, everyone's just been saying like how great of a film it is, and like I'm telling you, it's great. If you got a chance, you should watch it. I feel some people will be like turned off at the fact of like reading subtitles for 2 hours, but like honestly, it's better because like it makes you engaged in the movie. So often we watch stuff and like, I look down at my phone and like, I get distracted kind of, but like, it's nice to just like have been in the moment for a couple hours because like if you look down, you're going to miss a line of dialogue and that could like throw the whole movie awry. Another good movie with subtitles is Pan's Labyrinth. If you want to, fun fact. But anyway, the reason we are here this week, I talked to Seth Hunter of Tollgate Revival. Seth Hunter is, mid-30s, business owner, successful, doing great things. He was a really, really cool guy. I think I first heard about him from Brandon with Steel City. He told me about them. A lot of his furniture comes from Tollgate Revival, and Tollgate Revival is a store that specializes in vintage Americana. And, some people could say antiques, but that's such like an undersell of what this is. It's vintage things, but it's curated in a different way that Seth developed over the years. He's been doing this for about 5 years now, like pretty heavy for 5 years. And, he left his job in an oil field, making great money, and he kind of just like took that leap and wanted to just work for himself. And it's just like, it's a really great conversation about like how it kind of like developed over the years and how his like, it's, I guess like vintage is definitely like kind of trendy even more than it's been, but you could tell that like, Seth ain't in it for it to be trending. Like he's into it. He's into it pretty heavy, and he got so many cool things. His store's in Braddock, and like I went in there, I interviewed him in his store, and we're sitting in these like old vintage chairs, and like there's so much cool shit around, and I love talking to him. I grew up in flea markets, estate sales, and like, I like that stuff. That stuff just reminds me of my father. I think about it all the time, and I think about like all the old signage, all the old, like crates, bottles, and that's all kind of stuff that Seth has, but it's like, the better version of everything. And it was cool to hear about how someone, his age like learns about it or even gets into learning about it. But it's a really great episode. I was pumped to talk to him. I really was. It was a really fun conversation. So without further ado, episode 106 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Seth Hunter of Tollgate Revival.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. I'll you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast.
So let me know if I'm like breathing heavy into the mic or something.
No, you're good.
All right.
That's what I in the beginning I was like, I hate listening to my voice.
Yeah, it's got to be weird.
It's weird, and in the beginning, I was like, fuck, I don't want to listen to it, but you slowly get past that.
Yeah,
It's
you sound fine.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
People hit me up and be like, you got a good radio voice. I can't even say I got a speech impediment, can't say CHs or SHs, but it goes well. So Braddock, where is what's the address of this place?
It's 224 Braddock Avenue.
And you've been here since a year?
Yeah, I started moving over here in January. Last January, opened up in May. So we did a lot of build outs and moving everything over from my old location.
What was this place beforehand?
It was an old tire shop.
Really?
All raised tire shop, yeah. Which you didn't get to see the most of the building, but it goes back really far. And it was.
Yeah, I
huge
drove,
building.
whenever I parked, I saw them two garage doors.
Yeah.
But it's
It
a
goes
bigger.
back, another
Wow.
2 times past there. Yeah.
So is this did you buy this building?
No, we're renting it right now.
Yeah, this is because I see some of the places opening up, like you said, Brew Gentleman. I've been hearing about them for a long time, and Superior Motors I've heard about for a while. I know that they're a big deal.
Yeah, they're
And
huge.
what's that guy's name? Who's
Kevin Sousa.
Kevin Sousa. Yeah.
He's
What else
a great
was
chef?
Wasn't
So
he?
he did Salt of the Earth.
Salt of the Earth. That's
Yeah.
it. I hear everyone talk about all that stuff. I need to go and try it out a little
He's
bit
got
more.
a new place in Allentown too. He's working on. It should be pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be more of a kind of. It's like an old. I don't know if it's a Ukrainian social hall.
Oh,
but
wow.
it's going to be still have that social hall, more of a not as high end.
Yeah,
restaurant food. It'll be more like bar food, but real great quality stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you said you were in Lawrenceville before this.
Yeah.
For how long?
About 4 years, since 2015.
And I mean, Tollgate Revival is you created this?
Yeah. I started this probably in 2013 as a little side hustle.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You really you just started selling shit?
So I I grew up on a farm, and so I was always around old stuff, and I don't know when it really happened. I started kind of collecting stuff, and it was when Pinterest was kind of starting to take off.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of DIY projects.
Okay.
Off of that, make something for my
pallets and
girlfriend
stuff?
at the time. Yeah, make a pallet wine rack for my girlfriend at the time. And I started doing that. Then I started collecting things to work into projects, repurpose.
Yeah.
And eventually I started setting up at flea markets, realized I could make a little money at it, and then my style and my taste kind of shifted away from that.
Yeah.
And I just started buying stuff that I liked, and
That's what you got to do. If you don't,
Yeah.
if you're doing it to just sell to other people, you're not going to love it as much.
no, not at all.
It's but if you're buying stuff that you genuinely love, you're going to be passionate about it, about it.
Absolutely.
You're interested in it. If you're just trying to sell some shit that you don't like, it's harder to sell. But if you're dude, look at this Ritz sign. When's that thing from? And you tell people all this stuff. That's definitely. It seems to be way more marketable.
Absolutely.
Now, you said you grew up on a farm, but how do I want to phrase it? So you grew up on a farm. How did you start even learning about all this stuff? Is
Honestly, I was kind of late to the game. So we grew up on a farm until, I think we moved away in first grade, then came back when I was in 8th grade. And grew up the rest of the time there. But I never really, we went to flea markets and stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I never really got into this kind of stuff until my late 20s. So it was, and it's something that just kind of clicked.
Yeah. Now, whenever you were younger and going to flea markets and shit, were you gaining knowledge of different things, or were you
Not
kind of
really.
just going?
Just kind of going.
Yeah.
I used to go with my uncle and just random stuff, just something to do on the weekend.
Yeah, like I used to come home from kindergarten. My dad would be waiting in the truck, and we would go to the flea market on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
So like I grew up around it, like bartering with people. I kind of like write flea markets up to like how I'm able to like communicate with people.
Yeah.
Because like my dad would like throw me like a 20, and he'd be like, go ahead,
wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, so I'd be like, yo, that Hot Wheels car, like, you want 5? I got 2. Like, let me get 2. And it was like fun. Like, I always like loved that interaction with people,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
learning about their shit and like what they like and what they dislike about it, or like what the type of things that they got on the table. It's definitely cool to see. And then like you're there and like you see things that you've never seen before, and you're like, whoa, like one of them, like them seltzer bottles, like I've never seen one of them before. And like the first time I seen one at a flea market, I remember thinking like, oh, I see them in cartoons all the time.
Yeah, do a little squirt.
Yeah, and like I was like, yeah, man, that's wild. Like, and then it just kind of like spiraled through there. And my dad is definitely a he's always been a collector of all kinds of
that's
shit.
cool.
What about so like your interest of all this stuff? You said you would go with your uncle.
Yeah, my uncle, my grandpa, there was like a little local flea market, Duke's Flea Market back in the day in Claysville that we'd go to. And,
Claysville.
yeah.
Now, besides for you, like, flea markets and like collecting stuff, like what were you doing around like, growing up? Were you into like sports or?
Yeah, I played sports all through high school.
Okay. Football?
Football, basketball, yeah.
Okay. What'd you play in football?
Believe it or not, I was a quarterback.
Were you?
Safety, yeah.
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Back
in the day.
I was never good enough. I was just always just like fat, and so I was always on the line.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I love my linemen.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. All starts up front.
Yep.
So I mean, like growing up, if you had no interest in this shit, like, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do for a career?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I was like,
no one
so
does.
lost. Yeah. I think that a lot of that too is like when you pour so much into sports, like once that's over, you really don't know what to do. Like it's almost, that was like my creative outlet.
Yeah.
And after like sports were over, I just didn't have that. So I was kind of like lost for a few years until I like refound this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're playing, sports in high school take up everything. It's like 6 days a week. And I mean, like, what else are you doing? You're just like hanging out. Whenever you're not playing football, you're just kind of like blowing off steam.
Yep.
And then you get done with it and you're like, wonder what I'm going to do now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I really didn't want to play football in college or anything.
Yeah.
I was kind of like over it all by then.
I played 1 year of Division III basketball in college, and I was like, why am I waking up at 5 a.m. to go run? And there was so, obviously there are a lot more things to do when you're that age.
Absolutely.
Like, especially for the Division III glory. Like, it's like.
The Division III glory.
Yeah.
Now, coming out of high school and stuff, like, you obviously have to, like, start to think about a focus.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you want to do?
I just, I really had no idea exactly what I wanted to do. I just kind of assumed I would do something in business.
Yeah. Is that like, did you go to college?
Yeah. I went to college, bounced around a few different colleges. I never ended up graduating.
Yeah.
Each time I went to a new college, I changed my degree and tried something new.
That makes sense.
Nothing ever really, like...
Stuck.
Yeah, nothing stuck. I just couldn't get into it, and like just finally came to the realization that like college wasn't for me.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get out there and work.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I pissed away so much money going to like I went to Slippery Rock for a year and like failed out of there. I just had no desire to be there at all.
Yep.
Nothing about it wanted me to be there. And then I worked for a little bit, and then I was like, I don't want to work in this machine shop for $9 an hour. So I went to PTI and got like a 2-year degree. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's.
I wish I would have gone to like a trade school right out of like high school, because it would have just, or even back in high school, like it would have just given me like a skill or something like that.
Yeah,
that
like something to start to develop.
Yeah.
Because like I was talking to, I can't remember who I had on here, but I was talking to them. It might have been actually Ryan Peters. We were talking about like my school never really did a good job of like laying that option out to us, like a trade option.
Yeah.
It was always just like, where are you focusing on college? Take your SATs. You got to get a good job. But like, I seriously don't remember anyone ever like approaching us and saying like, oh, like, there's a trade school that you could go to. There was only one. And that was whenever I was in like CAD classes. So that's where like PTI, I knew them through there. And then that's kind of where it all set up. But before we get too into this, I do an opening segment with all my guests. It's called What's in the Cup.
What's in the cup?
What's in your cup?
So I've got some sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Now you said it was your grandmother's recipe is your favorite.
That's right, yeah.
But I obviously don't know your grandmother, so and
next time I'll have some tea waiting for you up here.
All right, that works. Now I got 3 different bottles because I didn't know what kind you liked. We got Gold Peak, we got Pure Leaf, and we got the sponsor Turner's. So
Gold Leaf.
Gold Leaf.
Yeah.
There you go. Now I'm usually not a sweet tea guy. I'm usually just a regular. I usually like unsweetened iced tea. But yeah, I don't know.
You can't drink a lot of sweet tea. It's like
it gets
maybe
crazy.
one bottle, one glass here and there.
Yeah,
but I like green tea too.
Yeah, that's what I
mean,
am.
you can drink a lot of that. It's nice and light.
Yeah, Arizona Diet Green Ginseng tea is the best kind ever.
Good stuff.
I love that. Now, so if you're jumping around to school, don't know exactly what's going on, like if you're out of school, like what were you doing before you started this place?
So like, how far back do you want me to go?
Like, all right. So I mean, if you're coming out of high school and you're going through college, like right after college, like what do you start doing?
So I went to Bethany College right out of high school. Like I said, I played basketball there and didn't do the greatest and like going to class and everything. Grades weren't that great, so I went to CCAC a year after that.
Yeah, got
the grades back up and then went down to Coastal Carolina, down in Myrtle Beach.
Okay,
and had a little too much fun down there. Yeah. Just like right on the beach, I was lifeguarding down there and that didn't really work out. So I came back up, took a few years off and was just working. Got into landscaping and like I really enjoyed that. Like it was more like hardscaping, like building waterfalls, retaining walls, stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. I was good at it. Thought like maybe I'll start my own business. And
did you always have the idea of wanting to run your own business?
Not really. I just think I just didn't like working for other people. So I just kind of
that's usually where it sparks from.
Yeah, exactly. So
I want to be your own boss.
Yeah, I went to Penn State after that, like for landscape contracting.
Oh wow,
I thought that'd be like a good program to be in. And then I was there for like a year and a half, and I just realized like, man, like I already know this stuff. Like I just kind of want to get back out there and work.
Yeah,
and so I did that. I left there, didn't end up graduating, and got back into the field, had a pretty good landscape design job, and then like the oil and gas industry was really taking off down in Washington County.
Yeah.
And so I got into that and was in that like 2 or 3 years.
You were in there like the crazy shifts and everything?
Yeah, so I was working probably anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week. And I built this up on the side like while I was doing that. Like,
oh wow.
I'd work like night shift and catch a few hours of sleep at night, then go pick during the day.
Yeah.
And just slowly built that up. That's about like right around then. That's when I kind of got this bug, like to just go pick and start collecting stuff. And I mean, we was making pretty good money. So whenever I get a paycheck, pay the bills, and everything else went to just go buying stuff.
Now, where would you go?
All over the place. Back then, I mean, I stayed pretty local, like within the tri-state area here. It was a lot of like, early on, it was like Craigslist leads and flea markets and stuff like that. Estate sales.
Now, what year would you say this is?
It's probably 2013.
Now, would you say that like this? I mean, I feel like that. What would you call this? You said like in your profile it says that you sell vintage Americana.
Yeah, it's tough to put a label on it.
It is tough.
It's not like a traditional antique store by any means.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like whenever I walk in here, it's like it has an antique vibe.
It like cool shit.
Yeah, it is. Like it got an antique vibe, but it's not like it has like a certain like style, I feel.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. It's I call it Americana because I just like a lot of like patriotic stuff, like the Eagles, the old flags, stuff like that.
Yeah,
just stuff with classic style. It tends to be a little more industrial and rustic, which I think kind of reflects Pittsburgh and reflects me, like growing up on a farm, stuff like that. It's honestly, that's like my personal style too. Like this is how I deck out my apartment,
Yeah, like this is what you like. So that makes sense then. Now, if you're going around and you're picking and you're like looking for shit, like, did you have this style in the beginning?
No.
What were you looking for in the beginning?
Oh man, just read. I don't know. Like it's definitely something that developed over time.
Yeah.
Started out doing like I said, like kind of Pinteresty stuff.
Yeah.
And like I was renting stuff to weddings, like
Oh,
for
really?
weddings, and so it tended to be a little more shabby chic.
Yeah.
And
Like quick.
yeah, like
quick.
making chalkboards and stuff like that, and like old, like windows, and I just like really didn't like that at all. I think a lot of it was maybe to impress my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And but like I started doing that, and then like I just kept eventually buying more and more stuff that I liked, and like I said, that style just kind of developed.
Now
It's still continuing to develop.
Now, like while you're buying stuff, do you have like a like? Are you just storing it, or are you like selling it like a little bit at a time?
So like I said, like I was still living on the farm at that time.
Yeah,
My parents were like, grandparents were generous enough to give me some space, like in the garage. Or
That's
like
cool.
In an outbuilding, and so I'd store it there. I rented my first little space. It was like a 10 by 20 storage unit in Claysville, and
Okay.
I kind of set that up like a shop.
Yeah.
You know? And just had everything kind of placed and kind of decked it out in there, and then I'd advertise on Craigslist. Like, hey, like I've got this, and then I had people coming from Pittsburgh down to Claysville, which is like an hour away.
yeah,
And I was like, man, if I can get people to come down here, I might as well just go up to Pittsburgh, because that's where most of my customers were coming from.
yeah,
And
for sure. Now, I feel like that. My wife does like wedding makeup, so like I see a lot of the shit that's in like the wedding fields, and I feel like a lot of the style of weddings nowadays is like, you know, rustic.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Rustics, this type of
A lot
feel.
of barn weddings.
Yeah,
and stuff
barn
like
weddings.
that.
That's
Yeah.
we got married in a barn.
Yeah.
Up
That's
in
awesome.
Somerset, and like a lot of this stuff, like we had a window, you know, that had our
Yeah,
our
See,
labels.
I
and
was
shit
doing
on
that
it.
back in the day.
I mean, it's smart. People pay any amount of
Yeah.
shit for weddings. Like,
Yep.
they just want it to look nice.
Yeah, I was like renting stuff out and selling stuff, but then like delivering, you have to make the deliveries on the weekends, and
Yeah.
that just like it wasn't really conducive with going out and picking on the weekends. And
Now, do you like whenever you first started? I'm sure it was a little bit easier to pick because it wasn't. I mean, do you feel that this ramped up this whole like vintage picking and everything?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot more competition, and it's definitely not as easy as it was back then. Like I look back at some of the stuff I had, I was like, holy shit, man, I should have got a lot more money. Like I wish I still had that now. But,
Yeah.
yeah, it's which is good though. I really encourage people to get out there and like go to a flea market, go to an estate sale.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Like we'll just find random ass stores and
Yeah.
like I'll just go in and just, you know, piss away some money on some stuff that's just gonna sit there, which is, I mean, it's fine. Now, if you're buying all this stuff and you're like starting to kind of develop your own style before you have like a brick and mortar, it's like, how are you developing your price points of the things that you're reselling?
Back then, I mean, it was kind of, there's, for the most part, there's like a general like market value.
Yeah.
Like you would like do some research, look on, see what stuff's selling for on Etsy,
Yeah.
eBay, stuff like that. And then like as time develops, like start getting into harder things to find, you know? And so that like price point, you kind of get to make that on your own.
Like I saw on your website, it says you guys do hunting.
Yeah, like hunting and gathering. Just
yeah.
I have like people that'll reach out and just be like, hey, like I'm looking for this.
And like that, I feel like that would be so cool to be able to like kind of be on like the prowl for all that certain
Yeah.
thing.
I've got like this list that's just in the back of my head that's like,
Yeah, I
I'm
need
always
this,
keeping an
need
eye out
that.
for that. Yeah, like,
That makes sense. Now, if you're like starting to collect all this shit and like starting to build up like your own like kind of like inventory of all this stuff, when did like the ball start moving with you saying like, you know, I want to get like a space?
I kind of outgrew. So that first 10 by 20 storage unit, I ended up renting the one right beside it.
Okay.
Just kind of kept growing out from that.
Yeah.
And, it just got to, I was doing pretty well at flea markets. I was like, I think I can make a go at this. And
Was it always under Tollgate?
yeah.
Where did that name come from?
So it's named after my family's farm,
Oh,
Tollgate
shit.
Farm.
That's
If you
cool.
check, I don't know if you can see it over there. There's a pair of coveralls.
Oh yeah.
So that's so back in the day, before there was like the turnpike, there was Route 40 called National Pike. It ran from like Maryland to Indiana.
Yeah.
It was like the country's first turnpike basically, but like, I mean, that's back in the 1800s when it first started. So there were like toll houses all along that road where you would stop and like you'd pay the toll for like your horses, your buggies, and like you
Really?
could go in there and get a meal, stay. And so there was a toll house, one of the original toll houses right on my family's farm. Well, my great grandfather bought it back in the 30s, and they just named it Tollgate Farm. You know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
I
it's
never
kind of
knew
an
about
homage to
that.
that. Yeah.
It's a cool name. It fits. I'm always curious how people like come up with their names because like, you know, like everyone has a name. Like that's like the basis of your brand. Like you got to have a story with it. I feel. I guess I'll Call You Right Back doesn't have the best story. It just kind of popped into my head.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it works. Everyone likes it. Now, if you're selling all this stuff and you're like starting to wanting to get your own space, it's like, how do you choose Lawrenceville?
So actually, before Lawrenceville, my first move up to Pittsburgh was this old garage over on the north side.
Oh yeah,
like right off of Brighton Avenue.
Yeah,
and it was like an old shitty garage. It was probably 1,000 square feet, something like that.
Yeah,
and really cheap. It was a couple $100 a month, which at the time that was a big jump from like the $75 a month I was paying for a storage unit. But like
almost tripling your
and I think that's the same time when I made that move up to there that I quit my job and started doing it full time.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Now you were still doing the landscaping.
I was doing oil and gas.
Okay, yeah, okay, oil and gas. So you obviously had to be doing all right to be able to say like, you know, I'm going to walk away from this paycheck.
I definitely I definitely didn't do it the right way. I didn't save up enough as much as I should have. It was a very like spontaneous and impulsive decision. It was kind of like I got burnt out and I was just like, fuck it, man. I'm going to try to do this on my own. Like I just really want to work for myself and I want that freedom. And
absolutely.
I just like kind of took a jump and was like, I'll make it work.
Started treading water.
Exactly. I wish I would have saved up a few more paychecks before I did that.
Yeah.
But
the oil and gas thing, I feel like it would be like the paychecks obviously are great, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it has to like kind of knock your quality of life down a little bit.
Absolutely. Like you don't like have time for anything else really.
Yeah. I mean, and
it's
like,
good for like a young guy. Like if you're single and like, you know, have a family
I know people that are doing it now that you know they're out 2 weeks at a time, off for a week, and like, you know, they're driving Range Rovers.
Yeah,
you know, like they got all the money in the world, but like, you know, they can't do nothing.
Yeah,
they don't do nothing. I never see them. I just
it's a wild lifestyle.
It is. It's an interesting lifestyle, but I think that's dope that like you kind of just said, you know, fuck it and just jumped off and kind of started doing this. Now, I feel like with doing that, it kind of like lights a fire under your ass where you're like, I got to do good or, you know, I'm not going to be able to live.
Yeah.
So like, what's your mindset like after you quit your job? Like you just spontaneously were like, all right, I'm going to be done with this.
Yeah, it was like, oh shit, like what did I do? But no, I don't know. It's a weird story. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan.
I could tell.
And yeah,
see that right
see
there.
The boss around. It's always around. He was playing at a show at Soldiers and Sailors over in Oakland.
Yeah.
And he played this song called Leap of Faith. And he never plays it. I go to a ton of his concerts and never heard him play it. There's like a line that says, it takes a leap of faith to get things going. It takes a leap of faith to make a start. And like, after that concert, I was just like, man, like it just hit me. Like I listened to that song over and over on the way home. I was like, I'm quitting my job. Like I'm taking this leap, and I did. And so after that, I was just like, man, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to hustle.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
The boss, huh?
Yeah. It's one of those like kind of cliche stories, but
that's all right though. Yeah. Those are, I mean, like if that's what happened.
It was kind of just my aha moment. Like I was just like, man.
Now, what does like your family think whenever you're like, you know, I'm going to quit my job? And
they've always been really supportive.
That's cool. Then
they probably were like, oh man, I don't know at the time, but they've always been really supportive. And
that's cool though.
Yeah.
Now, how do you develop like I'm sure over the years it comes with like your research and everything, but like how do you know what to look for whenever you're like shopping? Like, are you doing research? Like, how do I want to phrase this? Like, obviously, if you're looking for a certain item, you're going to look that up. But, like, let's say you're just out picking somewhere and you see something random you've never seen before. Like, how do you know if that's worth anything? Like,
anymore, like, if it's something really crazy, like, I'll look it up on the spot. But anymore, I just kind of trust my gut.
Yeah, I guess you got a phone in your pocket. You can just, like, look it up real quick.
Yeah, but, I mean, for the most part, if I see something, I'm pretty confident that I'll know what I can get out of it.
Yeah. So, now, when you're younger, are you watching like are you watching like Antiques Roadshow and like American Pickers and stuff?
I watched American Pickers. I never really watched Antique Roadshow, but
I don't know why I love that so much.
Yeah,
I just love seeing
awesome.
people like, oh, you got this pennant from this is from 1908. It's worth $50,000.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And these old people are like, wow, didn't know this chair was worth like $100,000.
I've yet to have that happen to me, but
good things will come in time. But like, yeah, so like developing like your knowledge of like all this shit. Like obviously you got, you know, different bottles in here, lanterns, mirrors, and everything like that. And I'm sure that they have like, I'm sure that there's like a version of it that is not worth anything, and then there's some versions of things that are like, you know, that catch your eye. Like
there's definitely a reason, like why something's worth more than others. But like, it's
even down to like materials and like designs and shit like that.
Yep, it's always a learning process too. Like you're just always continually learning about stuff.
Yeah, I feel like you would have to.
Yep.
Now, for you to get things and, you know, kind of research them out, do you tend to find a good bit of knowledge like are you just Googling things, or like will you, like how do you learn about like a seltzer bottle that's like random and like the label's half worn down?
I mean, a lot of that stuff you're never going to find anything on it. You know?
Okay.
It's for the most part like the seltzer bottles, they were used like back in like the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And, a lot of these brands are like just defunct now, so you're not going to get much history on them. But like you'll see other ones that have sold in like similar styles. Like the local Pittsburgh ones, I'll sell them for a lot more than I would like this one over here from New York, just because that local factor.
That's true.
They're a little harder to find too, believe it or not, just because nobody wants to let go. Like people like that local thing. So
Yeah, people like hoarding things for sure.
Yeah.
We have some. My dad's been like collecting glass bottles from like old dairies, like Menzies Dairy and stuff like that. And we just have them like above our kitchen on our counter. But like, he's definitely the reason that like I've ever had an interest in anything. Like he was into trains, like built model trains and shit, and like we would just be at flea markets seriously all the time. And it's cool to like see, you know, like one thing that I always remember noticing at flea markets was like looking at random ass things that I've never seen and like looking at the price tag, and like, you know, if you see like one like I remember one time I saw like a spittoon somewhere, and this spittoon was priced for like $350. And I remember thinking like, damn, I wonder why that's so much money. And I remember the dude telling me like, you know, this one was from like 1920 something, and it was like
brass.
handmade. And you know, I always like thought that was fascinating, like the stories that come with everything.
Yeah, that's like the best part, just hearing the stories behind everything.
Yeah, I love talking, and the people that work at or that go and sell at the flea markets, they're interesting enough.
Oh yeah, it's a wild crowd there.
Yeah, and I'm sure you come along
diverse,
with all kinds of people.
Oh yeah.
Now, I mean, you were at that garage, and that was your first spot. So like, are you bringing people there to sell?
Yeah, so like back then, I started my Instagram right around that same time, and Instagram and Facebook, and so I was advertising a lot on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And just advertising like open houses. Like I'd have one open house a month where I'd push it on Craigslist, I'd push it on Instagram. And I mean, you get anywhere from like 20 to, I mean, I think I had like 100 people come through in a weekend. So
really?
Like, it was getting pretty good response. And I was still setting up at flea markets and antique shows throughout the rest of the month. And so just kind of
makes sense.
I had like a circuit, of flea markets and shows that I would set up at.
Now, did you ever have any experiences like with you starting out in the beginning, like of people that are like veterans in the shit that were trying to like take advantage of like what you had and saying like, oh, this ain't worth too much? Like,
I mean, there's always that, but like,
yeah.
I mean, early on, like, there was probably some things that I should have got more money out of, but I mean, nothing crazy. Like,
nothing too much.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, I feel like, I mean, those are the natural trials and tribulations that you're going to deal with.
Yeah, it's just a trial and error and learning process.
Now, so if you're bringing people in and you're like doing them open houses and hitting flea markets, are you like the wedding stuff is happening then too?
It was kind of waning off, I think.
Okay.
Then I was still doing some rentals and stuff like that, but yeah, it kind of.
Now, besides for you not being in it, besides for you not being like super passionate about it, was there any like negatives? Like, did you have people like breaking shit or like?
No, I mean, there was some stuff like that. I usually try to charge a deposit, but I mean, dealing with brides and stuff, and like it got a little crazy. And like,
even my wife doing like the makeup stuff and like what she deals with people.
And there's so
like,
much that goes into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, people are like, "Oh, it's my wedding. It's my day. It's the biggest day in the world." But to everyone else, it's like, it's just a Saturday. Yeah, it's just a Saturday, which is, I mean, it's understandable too. Now, if you're like kind of fading away from the wedding stuff and you're kind of like growing out of that garage, I'm sure you like grew out of that space.
Yeah. It got to the point, I mean, I had that space filled up pretty easily and still had some like overflow storage back at the farm. And,
is this just you though? You didn't have like anyone else working for you?
Yeah, it's always, I'm just a one-man show. It's always been like that.
I like that.
Yeah, it keeps it simple.
Yeah, it keeps it simple. Plus, I just don't trust people doing what I like. You have a certain expectation.
Kind of a control. I never would have ever describe myself as a control freak, but then when it comes to this, it's like
I'm a control freak.
Yeah,
you got to be.
Yeah,
if you love something, you got to be a control freak about it. That's why I do all this editing and shit myself.
Yeah,
I just can't trust anyone else. Exactly. You know how you want it. You have a expectation. Now, if you're growing out, like, how do you decide on Lawrenceville?
Actually, a customer of mine came to me and she's like, "You shouldn't be over here. Like, we got to get you in Lawrenceville." Her and her daughter have a shop over there. It's called Number 14. Michelle Conley and Brienne. Super nice people. And she's like, "There's this really cool space. Like, I'm going to try to get you over there." And like, she introduced me to she put me in touch with the landlord.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like a huge jump from what I was paying at the garage compared to what I was paying in Lawrenceville.
Now, is this like post gentrification for Lawrenceville?
Yeah, definitely post, but it was still like
before it started like ramping up too crazy.
Really ramping up, yeah.
Now, I mean, when was
2000? This? It would have been like maybe 2014, 2015.
Okay.
But so I mean, it was already like Lawrenceville was established.
Yeah.
You know, like it was a great neighborhood, but all the like the big condos and
had to be a crazy jump.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was probably triple what I was paying. No, it was more than triple what I was paying at the garage. But it was another one of those moments I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm going to make it work," and like, I'm going to take this leap. And
wow,
yeah, it's such a cool space. I was like, I have to do this. Like,
now, did the space that you went into, did it needed like built out at all?
Yeah, a little bit. It had a really cool aesthetic, like brick wall, like a really cool concrete wall that I didn't have to do anything to. The landlord did some build outs and I kind of did my own thing, like added some barnwood walls and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely cool. And your experience in Lawrenceville was a positive?
Yeah, definitely.
And like in the beginning, did you just have like success from the beginning?
I was like looking back, yeah, like I did really well there to start off. And so it made it a little easier, you know, like paying that rent. There were definitely some thin months, but
yeah, but I mean, if you're in Lawrenceville and you're being successful, like, that's a win in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
You see all kinds of people, like, that's like the focus for any like new restaurant, like they want to be in Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
Any like store wants to be in Lawrenceville.
Yep.
It's interesting because, like, you know, I don't love Lawrenceville. I definitely don't love it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's wild how popular it is over there.
It really is.
It's pretty crazy. Now, I mean, if you're there for 4 years, like, what is the beginning looks like, or like, what is like the beginning of your stay there compared to like the end? Like, in the beginning, are you like, do you have like a full space?
So there's about a 1,500 square foot space, and at the beginning, I mean, I was stocking. I met some people through Instagram. Nick and his brother Luke, they had Seneca Creek, and so we stocked some apparel through them. Apparel like apothecary and stuff like that, and mixed that in with the all the vintage. It was mostly, I'd say, probably 80% vintage and then 20% that stuff.
Yeah.
And those guys, maybe like after a year, they took their brand in a different direction to more like a lifestyle blog and got out of the apparel game. So then it just became all antiques, vintage. That was probably around year 2. Year 3, like really starting to like outgrow the space, and it was like your long, narrow boutique style, like retail space, you know, so it's not really conducive to big pieces.
Yeah, like you got couches, you got 4 couches in here?
Somehow, like, I think I had 4 couches in there at one point, which is crazy. But, yeah, I just kind of felt like I needed something bigger, and so that's probably around year 3. And like looking back on it, my lease was coming up at that point, and I really didn't know if I wanted to commit to another few years with that space when I knew I needed a bigger space.
Yeah.
And I was always looking around for like another warehouse or something like that, but just couldn't find the right space. And looking back, I wish I would have been a little more patient and just stayed like another year until the right space came up. But I found another warehouse in Lawrenceville that was more rent but a lot more space, and so I moved there for a year.
Yeah.
But it was down on 43rd, like right behind Industry.
Okay.
It was just a really raw space, and it was always kind of going to be a temporary space for me until I found that like the next spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have stayed at the old shop for that time, that period.
Yeah,
like
instead of going to that new spot.
Yeah, and just waited. And then, like, after that year's up, like, John Malecki, we've always been friends. We met through Instagram back when I first started over in the north side.
Mm-hmm.
And his place was his workshop. The lease was up on it. He was looking for a space. We'd always talked about sharing a space. And, like, we started looking, and this space here in Braddock, we found it pretty quick and jumped on it.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a cool spot too. Like, this has a cool layout and everything. Like, it's a cozy spot whenever you come in
Yeah.
here.
I mean, it sucked to leave Lawrenceville. I really like Braddock, though. We got like triple the space for half the rent I was paying over there. So.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure that there's like I'm sure the foot traffic is cut in half or something.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's weird though. The foot traffic over there never really translated to sales for me.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
always been kind of a destination shop, like people will see something they like online,
Yeah.
come down and grab it. It's
Yeah,
like,
I guess people aren't just like walking by and saying like, "Yo, like,
I
like,
want to buy a couch.
yeah, I want to buy
something.
like let me just buy this leather couch. What
Yeah.
is this called? A Chesterfield chair?
Yeah.
Chesterfield chair.
It's tough.
European.
Like for vintage pieces too, people really have to like connect with them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, like, you're paying that money. You want to have like you want it to be justified.
Absolutely.
Inside of
so
you.
everybody that walks in is not going to find that piece that they connect to every single time. So it was. I've been doing just as well over here as I did over there. So
That's cool. A destination point makes that makes a lot more sense. Like, people probably see the shit that you got on Instagram
Yep.
and they come down and like jump on it.
Yep, exactly.
That's cool. Now in Lawrenceville, are you to the point where like people are coming to you and like they're coming to you with like sought out things and like you're hunting and gathering for them back then?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing that back then. It wasn't like a huge part of my business. It's most of me just going out and picking and like providing the stuff. Yeah.
What about like since I feel like that this style is definitely like this is like a trendy style for sure. Like people
definitely
are getting into it. Did you like work with any like interior designers?
Yeah, I'd say like 50% of my business is probably like interior designers, restaurants, like other businesses, like stuff like that, and then 50% like your residential customer just wanting something for their place.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah. So I mean, like all over the city, like you see like my pieces like in restaurants and stuff like that. Like it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what is I'll cut it
Sorry
out.
about that.
That's all right. I'll cut it out. Now, in the beginning, what was like your first big find?
Probably the coolest one. Like when I was in the garage on the north side, I found my first Chesterfield.
Like a chair like this.
It was a couch. Yeah, it was like this sick couch, and it was black, real weathered. I found it in Lawrenceville off Craigslist, and it kind of became my like trademark piece. Like, I wasn't gonna sell it. It was my shop couch, and like I would like stage everything around it, like put a really cool sign above it, make it put a cool coffee table in front of it, and I would sell everything around it, but keep the shop couch, and that's kind of what I became known for almost.
Yeah.
And I mean that couch, like even back then in the north side days, like it ended up on like the Chive.
Oh,
like,
really?
Somehow, like one of my pictures, like ended up on there, and like that picture has just been like it's made its rounds on the internet. Like I see it pop up in crazy places.
What happened to the couch?
When I was in Lawrenceville, I had a pretty high price tag on it, and someone bought it.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Were you sad to see it go?
Yeah, definitely sad, but at the same time, it's like
if they paid that much.
Yeah, I made good money on it.
That's good.
But
that's good though. If you put you always put the high prices on the most loved things.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was all. I mean, it was like you hear the saying like it's my I don't want to sell it price. And, like, I don't want to sell it. Like, but if I do, like I got to get this for it, and like they pay for it. So
that's cool though.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, like what was like like what were you like looking for most? Like is signs like more profiter?
Advertising like was really popular. They're really tough to find though. A little easier back then compared to what they are now.
Yeah. You're talking about like signs like this Keystone Stores and stuff?
The vintage advertising, stuff like that, which like definitely American Pickers like popularized and kind of drove that market up. But I was all over the place, just industrial, a lot of industrial stuff, and I was still doing a lot of like repurposing, so stuff that I could make into other stuff.
Now, did you find yourself like going outside of PA?
Yeah, I started as the business continued to go and grow, I would go further and further out, and mostly stay within the tri-state area. But I mean, now I'm like all over the country.
Now, do you find? Obviously, I'm sure the local things sell better here than like something that says like this Chicago dairy or something. I'm sure.
I'm always trying to find local pieces. Like they do sell really well, and but like I said too, like no one wants to sell those because like they're really attached to them as well, so they're tougher to find. Yeah, believe it or not.
Now, whenever you're like looking for stuff, and the only reason I think about this is because I remember an episode of Antiques Roadshow, or maybe it was Pawn Stars or some shit, but some piece had like a patina on it, and these guys like buffed it out, and then they took it to like get a price on it, and they were like, if you would have left this on there and didn't refinish it, it would have been worth way more.
Yep.
Now, how do you know when you can make something nicer and keep that?
Yeah, I try to leave stuff in the original condition as much as possible. Like I'll do some like light sanding, maybe a clear coat, something like that.
Yeah, just
but
like
I try. Like I love the patina. I love that. Like that's what gives it character, and like that's part of the history, part of the story behind it. And there's some people that just want something like clean and new, and like, but that's just not my style.
Yeah. I mean, that's all right though. It's cool to like see all the shit. Like we're sitting in here right now, and like it's cool to like look around and see like all the different types of things, and like kind of like I don't know what half the stuff is, but it just like looks cool.
Yeah, like I try to present it in a way that you could like see it in your house, like an aesthetically pleasing way. Like
that's a good point.
Kind of comes together. Yeah.
Now for you to like build these out and kind of like develop like a layout of this space, it's like, so what if someone like, let's say someone bought these like chairs and these couches, like do you have just like a backlog of shit that you can just like slide in place here?
Not a ton. Like I don't keep a ton of back inventory. It's like if something sells, I'm gonna go out and find something new and bring it back in.
Yeah.
It'll always be different in here. It always has been. Like as something sells, I move stuff around, just try to keep the shop looking full. I'll bring stuff out from the back. As I sell stuff, I just keep going out. I'm out buying like every week, so there's always new stuff coming in.
Now, do you like set yourself like a almost like a price of what you have for like a certain piece? Like you won't buy a piece if it's over what you have a mindset for?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely margins I like to work within.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the general rule of thumb is like you got to at least double your money.
Yeah.
But I try to, because I do have a lot of overhead, so I like my margins to be a little higher than that,
Yeah, obviously.
It's tough to like, you can't go out and spend $100 if you're just going to sell something for $125,
Yeah, and like that's why I like ask things like this, because like I feel like people that have the vintage things already, they kind of have them still because they know that they're worth something.
Yeah.
And like they put that, I don't want to sell price on it. So like, where does it come into play as far as like, is it just like wheeling and dealing? Is it
it's
like
a lot of wheeling and dealing and getting out there and like going right to the source? Like if you wait till something gets to an auction, you're gonna pay a lot higher price than if you would have got it like before they took it to the auction or like at a clean out.
That's a good point.
Like that, and like flea markets tend to be a little better if people are just trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, that's a real good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so the more middle people are in there, the lower your margins are going to be. So
now, where do you usually go? And like, so you obviously you like flea markets a little bit more, but
I like flea markets because like opposed to the estate sales, like I don't like standing in line.
Yeah,
and like I like to just go do my thing, be on my own time, zip around. So flea markets are probably my favorite place to pick, and just like going and knocking on doors, going and picking an old barn, old warehouse.
Wow,
like that.
Straight up some American Pickers shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That now, do you think that now whenever you watch that show, do you get a feeling of authenticity with that show?
Definitely the story behind it. Like I know like what those guys do. Like
Yeah.
I know like the whole premise and everything. Like I know some people who have been on the show.
Yeah.
And like they've picked and everything. And so like I know it's all. I mean, it's a TV show. It's meant for entertainment.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like they're out there really like
Knocking on people's doors and stuff.
Yeah,
I guess.
but,
Yeah, that's a good point.
But those guys, they're good guys, and they do a really good job of like telling the history and stuff behind that. So that part's definitely authentic.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. I just don't. I find such an interest in things that I don't know a lot about, and that I'm curious about. Like it's cool to talk to someone who like kind of like this is your shit. Like this is like about all this shit. Everything in here, I'm sure you know what it is, where it comes from, and it's interesting. Now, as far as Instagram, okay, I'm curious about that because you guys have a well-established Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's been huge. I mean, it really drives like a lot of my business. It always has.
Now, before you got this Instagram, were you a social media guy?
I mean, I had Facebook like when it started, but like I didn't have an Instagram before I started my business. Like it started at the same time. Like it wasn't like my personal Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
I actually just started my personal Instagram like a couple months ago. Like,
there you go. You're
a
jumping
little late
into
to the game.
Yeah, that's all right though. That's all right. Now,
Yeah.
if you started this business Instagram in the beginning, like you guys have over 40,000 followers now. Like I'm sure like that's a business in itself to keep that up and like keep that going. And I feel like you guys do a really good job at like, I keep saying you guys, but you do a really good job at, pushing content because you have to push out content.
You have to, yeah.
It's like it got to be like that. So where's the learning curve for you with social media from whenever you started to like what you're doing now?
So back then, like there was no like algorithm or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like it's changed so much since then.
Sucks now.
It does suck. I hate it. But like I just kind of figured out early on what people responded to. Like I figured like, I mean, I thought about like when do I check Instagram? Like when I wake up and before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So that's when I would post. Like I would make all my posts like during those times. And I tried to like present things, like I said, in an aesthetically pleasing way. And like a lot of people, like even still, like I follow like so many antique and vintage dealers, but like they'll just kind of throw everything down on the ground or like put it in a pile and take a picture of it. But like I try to set everything up and make it look cool.
Yeah, that's why yours are so neat because like you have like it looks like a room like that you would have in a house, and I feel like that you do a good job at like building the photo in someone's mind or like building the environment in someone's mind. Because like if you just take this couch just like on the road and like take a photo of it outside somewhere against like a wall, it's different than like having a table in front of it. Yeah, you're good at like building a vision from it.
Yeah, I mean, then people definitely respond to that too. Like
now, it's interesting because like someone who didn't have a personal Instagram ahead of time to building this business Instagram, like Instagram is definitely the biggest business tool that you could have for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, where does that jump come from with 40,000 followers?
It's hard. I can't really pinpoint it. I wish I would have like tracked it a lot better back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I was back then like I was using like shitty filters and stuff.
Yeah,
I still have some of my early posts I left them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think I was a big like Nashville like or Slumber or something. Slumber was a good one. Yeah.
Some funny ass.
But no, it's I can remember when like I hit like 100 and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And I told my friends like next stop's 500. They're like, you're never gonna get to 500. And
yeah.
It just like I think probably after a year I had around 1,000, and then the next big one like it was like 10,000, and it just like snowballed. But back then it was like Instagram was easy. Like they put your stuff out there. Like
now it's
followed you could see it.
Now you scroll through and it's like I see shit from 3 days ago that I already liked.
Yeah,
and you're like, come on now, I don't need that.
It's frustrating when you look at your insights and see like how many people are actually your stuff's reaching. And
yeah, especially some shit that you post that you don't think is going to be, you think it's going to be like a throwaway.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it reached all these people. And then something that you really spend time on.
Like a banger of a photo out there.
Yeah. And you're like, this is going to be dope. And you're like, kind of died out a little bit. It's cool though, because like, as superficial as it is, it's like people judge you on your Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. And as terrible as it is, like that's the world that we're living in. And it's interesting to like see how someone could build up their business page. Like for instance, Ryan Peters. Ryan Peters has like over 10,000 followers, and he's a chef.
Great.
But a lot of his stuff he said was coming from like, the visually pleasing photos of pasta and stuff. And you ever hear ASMR?
Yeah.
It's like that. And it's weird what catches on. Now, for you to do these photos, like, what were photos that were getting more?
So, like I said, like that Chesterfield I bought back in the day, like that's when the first, like I'll look back at some of my old like Instagram posts from like 5 years ago, and like they have more likes than what I do now, and I've got 40,000 more followers than I did at the time. It's crazy, but like the Chesterfield is definitely a big one, and I kind of like had that signature. I made that my signature look. It was a Chesterfield, whether it was that one or another one, and a sign above it, and kind of like a living room kind of setting. Yeah, and like those were always my best performing posts. Like I said, I wish I would have watermarked them because like they made the rounds like around the internet, and
I bet
they've been used by so many people.
I mean, that's all right though.
Yeah, it's cool though.
I bet you it's even cooler to like see it randomly.
Yeah, when
pop
you don't,
up.
when you're not expecting, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's like that's mine, I guess.
Yeah.
Now your home. Now I'm sure you got like just bangers everywhere at your house of what you love.
Yeah, it's actually. I try not to get too attached to things because it's a dangerous game if you start like hoarding stuff. Yeah. But I'll find something I like and I'll keep it for a little while. I'll find something I like better and swap it out. Bring it down to the shop. But
how do you kind of like keep your distance from certain things? Because I'm sure it's easy to, collect.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's easy to collect things you don't want to get rid of.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, how do you kind of?
I try to be like picky about like what I want. Like I don't like. My place like it isn't like super cluttered, it's pretty minimal, and I just like want like kind of statement pieces or something that like has like a story that I'm connected to. Or
what's your most prized piece that you have right now?
Right now, it's probably this bus stop scroll.
What is that?
It's
a scroll.
Yeah, so like like on a bus, like how it would have the stop. Whatever stop it was at back in the day, like 40s, 50s. So that's on a paper scroll that they would turn, and those were about 16 feet long that had all the stops, and the bus driver would turn it for each stop or wherever they were going. And so I found it was at this auction a couple years ago, and it was up probably 2 hours north of Pittsburgh, but like they had like this whole lot of like Pittsburgh bus stop scrolls, and it was I was bidding on, so it was a whole lot. There was probably like 15 altogether. I thought I was bidding on like the first one, just one, and they ended up bringing me the whole thing. Like, so I got like everything. It was a really nice score, really cool pieces. I wish I would have kept more of them, but like they had like the old Kennywood Forbes Field stops, like stuff like that. So I kept one little piece, got it framed, and that's a really cool one.
That's something cool.
Yeah.
You'll probably keep that forever.
Yeah, for sure.
That's definitely neat. Now, whenever you think about like Pittsburgh, what sticks out to your mind the most? Like, as far as like, I feel like in here, whenever I look at everything, I feel like your signs, like the signs are like what I see most.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of like the vibrant colors, but like, is that like what do you think if there was one piece of like vintage, how do I want to say it? A vintage piece that comes from Pittsburgh. Like, what do you think of?
Pittsburgh, I love the history of it, the city, like just the steel, like right around like the turn of the century, late early 1900s, like Carnegie and everything like that. Yeah. A lot of people don't know, but like Gulf, like that good Gulf gasoline sign, like Gulf gasoline was like started here in Pittsburgh.
Really?
And like, yeah, like
I
the
didn't
Gulf
know
building
that.
downtown, the Gulf refining building. But I mean, the oil, just gasoline in the car industry, like it started up around Oil City, Titusville, like 2 hours north of here. Yeah. And so like all of that was like really originated like in Pittsburgh. And so pieces that like have a connection to that, like I really, really dig, and that's what I like. That's what I like to keep too, stuff like that.
Do you have people that come in and kind of just like ask you a bunch of questions about everything?
Yeah.
And do you? I mean,
I'm not even an expert by any means. Like,
I'm sure you know more about this stuff than like, if I ask you about that beer sign behind you, I'm sure you know more about it than something that I do.
1949, those would have been in like every bar in Pittsburgh.
Them signs.
Yeah, they're double-sided like chalkboard signs. Yeah. So the back, one side's football, one side's baseball, and like they would have just been, the old good beer. That's
pretty sick.
Yeah. Huh. So I like little pieces of Pittsburgh like that,
Yeah, it's definitely it's cool to like I don't know, I talk about it all the time on here. It's like I never gave a shit about learning anything, like through school.
Yeah.
I was just there serving time.
Yeah.
I never cared about history, never cared about anything like that. And now, being a little bit older, like I'm about to be 30, it's like I care about it so much more.
Yeah.
Like I just want to learn everything, and that's
crazy how that works.
That's like where the podcast comes from. Like, did you notice yourself like in school and everything? Like, were you like a history guy?
I definitely liked history more. Like it fascinated me, like the stories behind everything, and like,
Yeah.
just I was never a history buff or anything like that, or like specialized or like really cared about one particular thing. But
I feel like
yeah,
you
history
gotta
always fascinated me.
I feel like you got to enjoy the history of these pieces to be able to like,
For sure.
want to, have them and put money into them and kind of like keep it going. If you're learning about these pieces and you are, you're obviously bringing new stuff in here all the time. Like, is there something that you are that like is a prize piece that you have not found yet that you're like, that exactly what it is? Like, I need this.
There's like some holy grail pieces.
Like what?
There's like certain brands that I like for as far as like signage goes, like old gasoline signs, gas station signs. Like there's one called the Pegasus, which is like this flying red horse.
Oh yeah,
on the old like mobile gas stations, which are like Exxon now, and so it's like 8 feet. It's this huge horse, and there's just not a lot out there. They usually right now they're selling for like $7,000 to $10,000 a piece.
Holy shit!
Yeah, but like if you find one out, you really only see them come up in auctions. But I'd like to like. My dream's obviously to find one out in the wild, like in a barn or something like that.
That's, like pull back an old hood of a car
and you're like some red or something.
Shit.
Yeah, see that tail poking out. Yeah.
Have you had that experience where like you'd be picking in a barn and you're like,
you see
shit.
like a little flash of something? Yeah, like I can pick up on porcelain pretty easily.
Porcelain.
So that's what these signs like the signs behind you, like those are porcelain signs, which is like.
Can I feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see the steel underneath them. It's a sheet of steel, and then they bake that porcelain on top.
Oh wow!
And that sign there was actually. So a company called Ingram Richardson, which is up in Beaver Falls, and so they used to make a ton of signs all over the country, gas stations, and everything like that. Just a plant up in Beaver Falls.
Wow!
But the porcelain, so that's like those ones survived a lot longer because that porcelain protects everything.
Yeah, probably
compared to like a painted sign.
Yeah, it probably holds up better than paint.
Yeah, it really does. And so like you can kind of.
When's this sign from?
That one's from 1931.
Damn.
So that's Saucony. That stands for like Standard Oil Company of New York. It's like
it's very vibrant.
It is. Yeah, those
colors are still so vibrant.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the colors back then were such like a?
I mean, that had to get you to pull over off the road. Like there weren't lights or anything like that. Like
that's a good point.
I mean, it was all to kind of draw you in. They put so much more effort into advertising back then. That's what I love about stuff like that too. The old advertising, even like the script, the fonts. I mean, anything like that. They just like really, they were trying to get your business. They wanted to draw you in.
Yeah. You know what I've been becoming obsessed with? I'll just lose 40 minutes on Instagram just watching people paint signs.
Yeah.
Like them sign painters. I can't remember the dude's Instagram account, but he got like 100,000 followers. And it's just, he'll just paint prices on car windows.
Oh, yeah.
And like he's painting all these signs and like, I don't know why. I think it's so like.
It's an amazing skill.
It's visually pleasing. And like to see all the signs though, I love all the fonts of everything.
Yeah.
The fonts are so cool for everything. Like it just looks so much more like how you say that. Like they put more thought into like their marketing.
Yep.
It's I guess they had to. They don't have Instagram and shit like that.
Yep.
They don't have like they can't pay to have ads be forced in down your
and like
throat.
that's what I mean. These pieces, like I sell them like it's a piece of art now. Like it's like something that's not going to be recreated, and even the patina on there, like no two signs are going to be the same. Like those, I mean, those are probably, there's some bullet holes in that. Like people used to shoot those signs, and like, it's like, that's just the part of it.
That's so cool. Wow. So like, what is your goals for obviously you're brand new here in Braddock. I mean, you're a year deep. That's still fresh. Like, what are your goals with the place that you're in right now and with what you want to do with the future of this?
So definitely, I don't know. I'll show you the back room back there, but like I want to develop that back room and just kind of keep growing back in the shop. And so this is kind of like the front showroom area. In the back, it gets a little more like it's more of like a garage warehouse storage area. But I want to kind of curate everything and like have it all be part of the showroom.
Yeah.
But Braddock's definitely going in the right direction. Need a few more like shops and businesses here, but like I really like the neighborhood. I've got some things cooking down in Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah, with a buddy. I've got a friend. Him and his fiance are dealers down there, and like we've been looking at spaces to kind of split a space.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
kind of branch out a little bit.
Yeah, try to build a presence down there, and
that's definitely cool. Is now, do you notice different places in the country of like what is? I'm sure Nashville has a big scene for vintage.
They do, but like it's my style is just like this really particular style that there's nothing down there really like it.
Okay.
And so I think there's like a little
market for you to slide into.
Yeah, like I can get in there. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool to be able to like kind of like branch out and like kind of grow a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I mean, now, do you do anything like do you have people like contacting you from like, out of the state? Like, I see something on Instagram. I want to get this. Can you ship this here?
So I just sold this couch to a guy down in Abilene, Texas.
You sold that couch you're sitting on?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got it delivered down there.
How do you do that? How do you go about doing that?
The delivery or the sale or what?
Both of them. I mean, like,
so most of obviously that sale came from online.
Yeah.
I have so many people that they'll see something they like on Instagram and they want to buy it. And most of the smaller stuff I'll ship out. The bigger stuff I haven't found like a cost-effective way to like ship a couch yet.
Yeah, because
I mean it would probably be as much as the couch cost itself to ship it down to Texas.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I asked that because for you to take that down there, it's like you either drive it yourself.
Yeah, so I do. I drive it down. I made probably 4 trips down to Texas last year. But I tried to I have a pretty good customer base down there, and I try to line up a few deliveries at a time.
Yeah,
and just stack them all up and figure some of the delivery cost into like all the pricing and everything like that. To where the travel costs are paid for. So I'll go down there with a full load and then pick my way back to Pittsburgh.
That's what I was saying.
Come back with a full load as well.
Yeah, you probably go down and see different shit and pick along the way.
Yep,
that's so cool. That's this is a cool environment. This is something cool you got going on. I mean, like, young dude, it's like doing interesting stuff. Do you ever have old people coming in that are like kind of like schooling you on shit?
Yeah, there's definitely my stuff tends to be like old people don't really like it. It's not my customer base is more like millennials. Young professionals, stuff like that.
Why do you think old people don't like it?
It's not that they don't like it. It's more subs. They're like, oh yeah, I've got this in my garage or something like that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have kept.
They don't
this.
appreciate it as much.
They don't appreciate it. It's more of like.
I guess if they grew up around it, it's like
I think
stuff
that's,
that they
I think
seen.
that's what it is. Yeah, they're like, oh, I can't believe it costs this much. Like we used to throw these away, stuff like that.
That's interesting to think about.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. It's definitely cool to see. It's definitely cool to see everything in here. It's definitely an interesting lane that you're in. And what is this table right here? Is that
that's an old factory cart. I got that out of a building downtown on Liberty Avenue. It was like an old luggage company, and there's wooden rails that go down on that front part, and then you just put your stuff on there and push stuff around the warehouse.
Wow.
And those are, fairly common, but they make a great coffee table,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just looks cool.
Yeah.
Just definitely looks like something different than just like an IKEA coffee table.
For sure. Yep.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on with this before I put you into the gauntlet. I think this is all right. So basically, you just want to develop everything in here. So that back area.
Yeah. Just keep buying. This year my focus is more. Focusing on more furniture pieces, bigger pieces. I'm gonna kind of get away from the smalls and stuff, and just focus on the stuff that sells really well for me.
Yeah,
just call bangers only. I want killer couches, killer pieces of furniture, awesome signs.
What is usually your best sellers in here?
It tends to be the furniture pieces. Everybody wants a comfy leather chair.
This chair that I'm sitting in right now is fantastic.
It's got the look too. You could just put that in any corner, and it's gonna look cool as shit.
Yeah, I just want to sit this in an office and I just want to sit here and have a book laying on a side table.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just sit with my leg crossed.
Yep.
Smoking a corncob pipe.
There you go.
Chesterfield though.
Chesterfield. Yeah.
And I'm sure that throughout your experience on finding things and getting things, you develop what you kind of learn about things and you find what you like personally and I
try to find stuff that's you can't really just go to any other antique store and find, like I try to like find really unique pieces, because like we just said like a little while ago, like a lot more people are going to flea markets and estate sales now. So there's like people aren't really coming in here to buy like a crate, because when they can go find it at a flea market for $10, like it's a pretty common piece like that. But you're not going to go out and like find like a Chesterfield or anything like that, like at your average flea market or sale. So focusing on those pieces. And
is Chesterfield the brand?
It's just that style, the tufted style.
What is the brand?
Buttons. The brands are all different. There's a lot of different makers. It originated over in England, I believe, back in like the 1700s.
Pretty cool.
But it's just that classic, iconic look.
Yeah, I love that. I love it with the old like brass fasteners and everything.
Yeah, the studs.
Just builds has a different character.
Yeah, it really does.
Than an IKEA couch.
Yep.
All right, so the ending segment that I do with all my guests is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions. Desert Island Questions is where I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island until they succumb to their death and become an antique themselves. The first category is 3 things to watch on a desert island. So you get to pick, 3 movies, 3 TV shows, whatever.
Yeah. Probably going to go TV shows just because you get a little more life out of those.
That's fine.
But huge Office fan.
Oh,
I'd have to have The Office.
that's good.
Probably Seinfeld too. I really think there's like either a Seinfeld or Office reference for like every situation in life.
Everything in the world. I'm disappointed in myself to say that I have not dove into Seinfeld yet.
Oh man, it's so good.
I know.
Have you ever watched Curb?
I started watching that more, and I've known like I feel like that's more like relatable right now because it's not as dated as Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean Seinfeld is really dated, but I mean
I know it's still funny, and I know I could still find the funny out of it. I just got to make the commitment and dive into that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
I know. Everyone tells me because I'm a huge Office fan. Like that's where Desert Island Questions come from.
Yeah.
And I do got to dive into it. So The Office, Seinfeld.
Probably I go with the movie The Big Lebowski. Yeah.
That's great. What do you think about the Jesus that's coming out?
I haven't watched it or really I just saw like that they were doing that, but I mean that character was hilarious.
He was hilarious. I
don't know if he can carry a show.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but we'll see. We'll see if it's the character was funny enough for just in the couple minutes that he was in the movie for me to like dive into it and watch it.
At least give it a try. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so do you read it all?
Not a lot, not as much as I'd like to.
Okay, but, so instead of reading, what if we do 3 Grail pieces that you would like?
Ooh, okay. I'd like that couch back that I sold.
Do you know who has that still?
Yeah.
Do you ever think about trying to buy that back off of them?
He actually reached back out and said he might be moving, so it might be coming back. But I haven't heard back from him in a while. But yeah.
So the black Chesterfield couch.
Yep.
Okay.
The black Chesterfield. Take the Pegasus.
Pegasus
the
sign.
Horse, the mobile sign. And what else? My favorite, I really like exotic taxidermy. My favorite pieces I've ever had is like just a really big bison mountain buffalo head.
Oh, wow.
So I'll take a big buffalo head with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That would be cool for sure. That's a good choice. All right. Now the third category is 3 things to listen to.
Yeah.
Can't be all Bruce Springsteen.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you can pick it.
All right. No, yeah, I mean, it would be Bruce. That's pretty much, I mean, I got E Street Radio on in the truck.
I'll give you his discography. But besides for Bruce.
Discography, the Bruce discography. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. I like comedy stuff.
Yeah.
I listen to Part of My Take, the Barstool podcast.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty funny. So, I mean, I'd listen to that.
You listen to any comedians podcasts?
I don't. No, I haven't.
Man, there's so many good ones.
What's a good one?
My favorite podcast of all time, it's not there anymore. It's called The Crab Feast, and it's with Ryan Sickler and Jay Larson.
Okay.
They're both comedians. Ryan Sickler now is under like Tom Segura. You know who that is?
Yeah.
So Tom Segura has his own like Your Mom's House like station. Ryan Sickler was part of the Crab Feast, and now he does a podcast called The Honeydew, and it's basically him just bringing other comedians on there, and they talk about all the terrible things that happen in their life, and they just laugh about it.
Wild stories.
Yeah, dude, I'm talking about wild ass stories, like people dying and like in terrible ways, and like they're just comedians, and he markets as highlighting the lowlights. Okay. But the Crab Feast is basically just like these two dudes who bring people on here, and they just talk about random shit. But it is, if I could choose any podcast in the world to listen to, it's that. Yeah. And there's hundreds of episodes. That's definitely worth it.
Check that out.
Bert Kreischer got a great podcast.
Yeah, he's funny.
It's called the Bert Cast. Like his is real good. Theo Vaughn, I listen to him all the time. But
Real World.
Those, yeah. Did you know about?
I used to watch those. Yeah, back in the day, like the Real World. Road Rules.
That's him. Yeah, Theo Vaughn. He's one of the
funny dude.
He's one of the. Have you seen him now lately?
Yeah, I mean he's. I've seen him like just random stuff. Like he's been on that Pardon My Take podcast. And
yeah, like he's huge now.
Yeah, he's massive,
and he almost like scowls at like him being on Real World. Yeah. Like he doesn't really like. It's not easy for him to like open up about it, but like
I mean that kind of propelled him to where he's at now.
Yeah. But I love his podcast. It's really great. He gets more like he adds a lot of like his personal feelings and like thoughts into it, as far as like you know it gets pretty serious sometimes, and like I like a little mix of everything.
Yeah,
like he'll just start laughing, and then he'll be talk about like real upsetting shit, and I just like the authenticity of what it is.
Absolutely.
But all right, so that's all right. Now, was that your third choice? You had Bruce,
the Pardon My Take. I've been spending so much time on the road. Like I just make my own playlists, so they're all pretty random, but they tend to be a little more like Americana, country. I don't really like to say that.
Are you a country guy?
Not like what country is on the radio.
Yeah, not like Sam Hunt.
No,
okay.
I like Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah. Sturgill's good.
Jason Isbell, yeah, people like that.
That's good. Good.
So yeah, I'll go with Jason Isbell's got a great discography. I'll go with him.
All right, that's good. Okay, so the third to last question is the death row meal.
Oh yeah.
So you get to eat whatever you want from wherever you want, as much as you want.
How many courses?
Is literally anything you want. Right. If you got a good list of shit, go ahead.
I'm a big like surf and turf guy.
Oh.
So I go. I love seafood. Start with like some lobster bisque.
Yeah, lobster bisque. Whew. I only had it one time.
Really?
Yeah, I only had one good one, and then I remember.
Yeah, if you get a good one, like it's.
I had this good one. I cannot remember where it was, but then I had one at Red Lobster, and it was the worst.
Yeah. And
that was the last time I ever went to Red Lobster. Yeah. But that's good. Seafood bisque.
Yeah, start out with that. Some crab cakes, calamari for an appetizer, and then like the lobster tail, medium rare steak.
Yeah. Wow.
Probably wouldn't throw any greens in there because it's my last meal.
I know, right?
To be healthy. Well, I'm not a big dessert guy either, so I'd probably just stick with that.
No dessert?
Yeah.
Jeez. I would dive all into desserts. My wife brought home Prantle's burnt almond torte cake.
Oh, yeah?
You ever have that?
No.
It was insane.
Really?
Yeah, she brought it home like a little slice last night, and that thing was real good. But I was still thinking about it this morning whenever I woke up.
Give me 2 lobsters.
All right, 2 big-ass lobsters. All right, that's good. Now, the second to last question is a brand new segment that I added in. Okay. Shout out to Turner's Premium Tea. They are proud sponsors of the podcast, and this is the Turner's Crate. So the Turner's Crate is where I got each guest that has been on there previously to submit their own question. So you are going to pick one and answer it to the best of your ability, as honest as you can. So
I love those old Turner's Crates, too.
This one is a brand new one.
Yeah.
They took off the "Thou shall not steal." You know, the old Turner's crates say "Thou shall not steal," but they're wild. How much do you think they spend a year on crates?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Take a guess.
It's gotta be 6 figures.
Yep.
That's crazy. Back in the day, I'm sure they did deposits like on those, like where they would get them back. But anymore,
that's a good point. I never really asked him about that.
A lot of the old like wooden crates that you see, they'll have a deposit number on them.
They spend like $200,000 on crates.
That's crazy.
I feel like that there got to be a better way to cut down them costs.
Yeah, go to all these old garages.
But if you go into their warehouse, it's just like. it's insane how many. There's just like literally a warehouse of just crates, and
Yeah.
it's wild to be in there.
That's what always amazed me about, like, I mean, I really like old crates, like the advertising on them, like
Yeah.
local stuff. But like, think of how many, and those were wooden ones. Someone's making those things.
Yeah, it's
And
insane.
It's not plastic or cardboard. Like, and I mean, just a lot of them, I'm sure, just got burned over the years.
They were probably more sought after back then whenever it was like handmade crates rather than just being like casted like that.
Yeah.
Now it's cool to see. I just went over there whenever the sponsorship happened. I took some photos. They have like the old milk truck out front there.
Yeah.
And they redid the outside of it, and like it looks so dope. And then they just posted some pictures of their old like first horse-drawn buggy. It looked wild.
That's awesome.
It is pretty cool. It's cool to hear about like their to like see all like the
How long have they been in business?
90 years.
Wow. 90
years this year. And it's awesome to like hear about that and like to be there, because obviously Turner's Tea is like a staple of like the city. So for me to like go there whenever I interviewed him and like tour the factory, like I was getting a warm feeling inside,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
really
like
cool.
it's wild.
It is.
And shout out to them for getting behind me and sponsoring the podcast.
That's awesome. I love their tea too. It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
So this one's from you, episode 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Do you have any hidden talents? What are they?
Wow.
Trying to think here.
Whenever I wrote that, I was thinking of, I could spin a pillow on my finger pretty
Yeah.
fast. I could do a Rubik's Cube, but some people have weird hidden talents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do anything special. I mean, I can spin a basketball on my finger. I used to be really good at basketball.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what I do.
Karaoke, anything like that?
I'm a terrible singer. I mean, I was belt out some Bruce for you, but
Yeah.
it's not pleasant, not easy on the ears.
All right.
I don't know, man. I guess the only skill sets or anything I just apply is like this business, but I would say my talent is like my eye, just have an eye for things.
All right. I'll allow
cool
that. That's
stuff.
good.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
a
know
good
if that's
answer.
a hidden talent or anything.
That's all right.
I think I used to draw a lot back in the day.
Oh,
I
yeah?
still doodle a little bit and like design some stuff.
That's
I've got
cool.
like some designs in the works for some shirts and stuff like that. But I think I'm not a great artist by any means, but I
You get by.
can get by. Yeah.
That's cool for sure. I like that. All right. And now the last question that I ask everyone on the podcast is, if you could talk to anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Man, I'd probably say my grandfather on my mother's side. He passed away when I was probably like 19, 20.
Okay.
And he was like an old like Yinzer, like he
Yeah.
was from Crafton,
Oh, that's dope.
He was like a tugboat captain.
Oh,
like,
that's
on the
cool.
river. He was like a taxi driver. He was kind of like, he was a bookie. He was like a jack of all trades, just like really interesting guy. But like I never really got to like know that side of it because when we were younger, you
You don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care as much.
Especially with what I do now, like I feel like he'd be able to like
Offer some.
Yeah, he'd know it. Somebody like everywhere, be able to get me in some places and like
That's a good.
tell me some stories.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Now, if it wasn't a loved one, who would it be?
Probably Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to just sit down and like have a beer with him, and
How
I don't
cool
even know
is
what
it?
I would ask him, but just like
How cool is it listening
Swap
to
some stories.
Brandon tell his stories about how Bruce Springsteen was wearing one of the Steel
Oh,
City
man, it's
shirts?
crazy, isn't it?
Hey, that's wild.
it's so like, I mean, he's got a connection. Bruce does with Joe Grishecki.
Does he?
Yeah, so that's what I'm sure. Like Grishecki probably gave him that shirt.
Because
He plays like they back in the day, like they kind of grew up around that same time, and they played together a lot. And so he, like when I go to the Soldiers and Sailors show, that's a Joe Grishecki show featuring Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The House Rockers play like as his backing band, Bruce's backing band.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And like anytime he's doing a concert here, he always brings Joe out, like, and does a song with him. So he's got that Pittsburgh connection. So.
Yeah. Talk to the boss.
I know.
That's
Yeah.
a good answer. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you doing this. Take a second and throw out your Instagram page where people can find what you're doing.
Yeah, it's Tollgate Revival, TOLLGATE REVIVAL on Instagram, Facebook, all that. The website's just tollgaterevival.com. It's more of a landing page.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some stuff listed on there, some actual inventory, but it turns over in the shop so fast that
Yeah.
it's better just to like, if you see something you like on the Instagram page, shoot me a DM, give me a call, and come down and check it out.
All right. I do appreciate it. You got a cool.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Got a cool spot here.
Thanks
This
for
is
having me
definitely
on.
a environment. Everyone else that's listening, I appreciate it as usual. I'll call you right back across the board. Take a second, scroll down on your podcast, and just hit subscribe and give me a rate and review. 5 stars. If you got nothing nice to say, just don't say it. And, go follow Tollgate Revival, follow Turner's Premium Tea at Turner's PGH, and, tell them the podcast sent you. But I appreciate everyone listening. Call you right back.